Hello, everyone, and welcome to our big news event. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us for some very exciting news. For those of you who have been a part of ARMA for quite some time, and those who are new to the organization, ARMA has been and always will be a family, a community. Leading up to this year and the announcements you're about to hear, the board and HQ have been working hard to prepare the organization for the future. Hopefully, you have seen these changing trends in the vision and mission, the website launch, and the launch of the newly created resources. And continuing the trends of being forward-thinking and understanding how we can work to be a sustainable organization, we continue to re-engineer resources, improve strategic partnerships, and most importantly, for me in the role as president, being more transparent than ever before. This transparency may seem like oversaturation at times. However, I would much rather over-communicate to this family than not communicate enough. That being said, today's meeting is us, in essence, walking the walk by showcasing our exciting news, or at least offering it, to the entire organization at one time. With that, I'd like to turn it over to ARMA International's Chief Executive Officer, Jocelyn Gunter.
Thank you, Ryan, and good morning to all of our brilliant information professionals on the line today. As Ryan said, I'm Jocelyn Gunter, CEO of ARMA International. I've been with ARMA for nearing 6 years, and I've been the CEO for almost 2 years now. If we haven't had a chance to meet in person yet, I hope that changes very soon. And I won't spend too long on my bio, but basically I came into the community from the finance sector as a CPA and then as ARMA's CFO. And from there, the dots got quickly connected, as I'm sure you can imagine. We have all of our executive team and, of course, Ryan on the line today. And so if you have questions for any of us, please go ahead and let us know through the Q&A function. We are going to hold those to the end of the webinar, and we will do our best to get to all of those, or we will follow up with you in a message after the webinar if needed. Now, let's talk about ARMA's big news. Is everyone else as excited as we are about what's going on at ARMA these days? Wait, no? That's because you don't know. Don't feel bad, you're among friends here, and the majority of your friends, even the ARMA members, don't know what we're up to. So what's the problem? I'd say there are 3 big problems. 1, we saturated your inbox with messages that maybe were not relevant to you and you stopped listening. Or you became disenfranchised with the ARMA brand, maybe because of a change you didn't like, or maybe you didn't see enough of the changes you needed to see. Or perhaps you would love to engage, but maybe you just don't have the time. And for you, it could be a combination of these 3 problems. And we're here to tell you that there is hope. Before you stop watching this adorable bouncing corgi, I have just a couple more questions for you. Do you believe that there is value in having an organization who is an unbiased and mission-driven advocate for what you do? Do you believe that there is value in having an organization who can create an educational pathway for you and the pipeline of professionals needed to sustain and advance this profession? If the answer is yes, then you must get engaged in the future of ARMA. This one's for all the cat lovers out there, but seriously, we need your attention. We told you we would have 3 big announcements, and for those of you who are here, you know, the brilliant ones, I'm going to give you a bonus announcement. Hang tight, because we're clearly not going to give you the biggest one right out of the gate. Did you guys figure out this clue? I found a couple of the words, but it was a hard one. Because this is our first announcement doesn't mean it's not a big deal, but if you've paid attention at all over the last year, hopefully you were already expecting this one. The Information Governance Body of Knowledge will be published before we land in Anaheim for the ARMA Live event this month. The foundation of our IGBOC has been out for a while and is free to our professional members. The foundation is the conceptual portion of the body of knowledge and can be used as a standalone collateral for creating awareness with stakeholders or any professionals who are unfamiliar with what we mean by a comprehensive approach to governing information. The first release is just that, and we will follow that up relatively quickly with a second edition to fill in some of those gaps. And when you purchase the first edition, you'll get the second edition free. From there, this body of knowledge will grow in size and relevance alongside the profession. This is modeled after the PMBOK, which had a huge role in moving project management from a role to a profession. It is not meant to be read straight through, but rather this is a reference guide and will be the most complete guide with processes and best practices for this comprehensive approach. We will be hearing from experts in Anaheim about how best to leverage this body of knowledge and how they think it can be a game changer for this profession. I hope to see many of you there, and look out for more information to come on the IGBOK. No, really, look out for it. Open it, talk about it, and share it. It will only be a publication unless this community makes it more. That's very exciting, right? So what is next? News item number 2 is that we are launching a technology tool. Now, what would make it easier to engage with ARMA as a regular part of your daily lives? A spot on your phone. That's right. The event app has transformed the way we experience live events, and now we have a full ARMA app so that you can learn, network, and stay in the loop wherever you are. As with the rest of our technology transformations, we view this as just the first step into the app world and look forward to expanding our offerings to maximize the technology and the untapped connections of our community. Here's just a snapshot of what the app looks like. And for those of you coming to ARMA Live this month, the event app is already a part of the full ARMA app and has everything you need to get the most of your experience as a participant. You can search now for ARMA International in your app store. We will also be sending out additional information with a link directly to the app. I can't wait to hear what you think, and I hope to see increased engagement from having your peers and learning materials at your fingertips. And now, for news item number 3. Are you guys ready? Okay, is this mixing it up or wheeling and dealing? No, that's a mixer minus the IX and a gear minus the A. That spells merger. But with whom? Okay, I won't test your patience any longer. Right, it's the Information Coalition. ARMA International has now merged with the Information Coalition. The Information Coalition was started by Nick Inglis and Jim Merrifield as an effort to bring together all disciplines within the information profession. They wanted to be a channel for the collective knowledge of the community, and they understood that a unified language would be critical for bringing these disciplines more closely together. And to be more frank, they were filling a gap in the space. The ARMA board is focused on strategic partnerships that will maximize ARMA's impact on the profession. And when we started conversations with a willingness to collaborate, we quickly realized that our visions were significantly more aligned than any of us had imagined. Without knowing the exact gaps that the coalition set out to fill, ARMA had put into place a large number of strategic initiatives moving in the same direction. And it became clear that we will be able to accomplish more for the profession together than we ever could have separately. What does this do for ARMA? Well, we have some big initiatives in the works to bring together and share with the ARMA community more of the knowledge from our profession's leading experts. And to lead these efforts, Nick Inglis is now ARMA's Executive Director of Content and Programs. And we're also excited to work with Jim Merrifield as ARMA's Business Development Advisor. Okay, let me go ahead and answer a couple of questions that might arise. Somebody may be asking, does this mean ARMA is only focused on IG now and no longer serving the RIM or IM professionals? No. It does, however, mean that we have an opportunity to leverage these brands to reach new audiences who don't know or don't relate to the ARMA brand. And when we do, we will make it very clear that a successful IG program is dependent on a solid IM foundation. Now, how will ARMA incorporate these new brands and resources? Well, the Information Coalition brand and the InfoGovCon brand will be leveraged in slightly different ways than they are now, but under the ARMA umbrella, and their spirit and value will continue. The two bodies of knowledge have a really great overlap, but were created for slightly different audiences. The InfoBox, created by the Information Coalition, is an in-depth exploration of the terminology and the concepts and is a fabulous resource for bringing all information disciplines together with a more universal knowledge base. So this one is a little bit more appropriate for those practitioners and professionals in some of our ancillary segments who are really just learning about all this language that we've been using for some time. ARMA's IGBOC is a truly comprehensive guide for creating and executing an IG program. And this will be the go-to reference guide for all IG professionals. We're so excited to get to work on determining both the complementary and differentiating values for these two groundbreaking works. I know org charts aren't the most exciting thing, but you guys have a great team here at ARMA HQ, and they are as passionate as I am about supporting the ARMA community. And I'm going to give you just a brief overview of our new structure. Nick's team of education, publications, content, and certifications represents the thought leadership pillar of ARMA, and I see this as our why, because of the influence and the impact these resources should have on the profession. Liz Eisenagel is our ED of engagement, and with all things membership, customer service, and the support of our region and chapter structure, this pillar of ARMA is what we do. We serve and engage our members, period. Now, ARMA's ED of Operations, Nate Hughes, is everyone's hero here at ARMA because he makes all the magic happen. With sales, events, marketing, and IT, these teams, along with finance and HR, represent ARMA's pillar for how we do what we do. This is a vastly different structure and team than we had a year ago, than we had 2 years ago, than we had 3 or even 4 years ago. ARMA has lived and breathed change, and through that, we've come out more nimble, more transparent, more passionate, more progressive, and more true to our mission. Before I share with you the bonus announcement, I'd like to let you hear from Nick directly about the Information Coalition's decision to merge with ARMA.
Thanks, Jocelyn. Well, I'm going to repeat a little bit of what Jocelyn said, but back in April of this year, the ARMA board had updated the mission and vision statements of ARMA, and if you missed that, you can review it on arma.org. I saw the update. We were all really impressed. It aligned with a lot of what we'd been doing at the Information Coalition, so we thought that it would be a good way to start a conversation to see where there may be some overlap and any opportunities that may exist for us to work together. Maybe some research, maybe some educational standards. From there, Jocelyn and I started having conversations. We spent a significant portion of the year talking with one another, realizing pretty early on that we were significantly more aligned than I think either of us had imagined. What started as a willingness to collaborate between our organizations grew into today's announcement of a merger between the Information Coalition and ARMA International, combining our forces into the future. I'll be the first to admit that at times I had been a detractor of ARMA previously, If ARMA can convince me of their ability to achieve their new direction and goals, everyone else should be giving them a fresh look as well. The reality is that the direction of ARMA is positive, and I believe where the organization is heading next, and I believe in the goals of the organization. It's going to thrive with our combined resources and subject matter expertise, and that will help our profession immensely. Combining our leadership and passion for the information profession was an exciting opportunity, and one that we're taking because it simply makes too much sense for our communities, for our chapters, for everything else. I'm incredibly proud of the accomplishments of the Information Coalition, and what I want to stress to both communities, and specifically the Information Coalition community as they become a part of the larger ARMA community, is that the work isn't complete and it isn't going away. It just has a new, larger community to help complete it and continue to run with what we've both created. This is an incredibly exciting time for our profession, and I'm looking forward to see what we'll achieve together.
Yay, thank you, Nick. Okay, for our last announcement, we are thrilled to share that as of October 22nd, I'm not sure what happened there. Here we go. Okay, as of October 22nd, ARMA will have a discount code available to all full-time students, and that discount code will give them a professional membership for only $25 a year, as long as they are full-time students who are part of a degree-conferring program. ARMA wants to help students and support them as they begin their journey of success within the information profession. And we hope that they jump in and take advantage of any and all resources, including the mentorship program and the job board, as well as engagement with their local and global network of professionals. This discount is just beginning, and it's just the beginning of a robust program that we are going to be continuing to develop, and it's a really exciting first step. I hope that you will all share the news with the students in your area. And I would be remiss if I did not mention and give a plug to our ARMA Live event later this month in Anaheim, where we will explore together with the largest and most diverse gathering of information professionals how to flex our innovation muscles and how to leverage our knowledge and connections to influence stakeholders. We will all walk away with a more thorough knowledge of the recommended framework and practical solutions that work together to solidify our professional integrity. Integrity, which is at the heart of your personal contributions to your organization's ROI. Sounds pretty amazing, right? Well, we hope to see you all there so that you can find out. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Liz Eisenagel, who's joining us to help field the questions that I know have been coming in. So Liz, what do we have?
Hi, Jocelyn and Nick and Ryan. We have a lot of questions, so we've been answering some of the questions in the chat. A few highlights that I'm going to go over, and then I'll hit a question right on over to you guys, is there's some questions about name changes. So with the merger, does that affect the name of ARMA? And the answer is no. ARMA's name remains the same. ARMA will remain a nonprofit entity. And there were some questions about changes to the structure that you might want to address, Jocelyn and Ryan. And we have no membership fee changes as a result of the merger. Those were some questions that came through. So going back to the IGBOC, well, actually, as a result of the IGBOC, there were a number of questions about certifications. There was one question about how the info certification from the Info Coalition would come over, and we would also have a question about if there were any plans for additional certifications with the organization. So I'll let you guys answer those for now, and I'll be back with another question. Okay,
great. I also heard a question in there about the structure as you were talking about some of those questions, which is great. I'll quickly say that as I showed that org chart, you will notice, and those of you who've been a part of this community for so long will know that we had some staffing changes that were a part of this restructure. And so you may not have seen all the names that you're used to seeing. And so we have realigned these teams and the structure accordingly, and we're really excited about what that's going to do to our ability to accomplish ARMA's goals. And then jumping back to the certification questions, really good questions. For those of you who aren't aware, as the info box was released also just last month, there was an exam and a certificate, not a certification, but a certificate for an information specialist that was aligned with the info box. Both of those resources and that content are all now owned by ARMA, both the branding and the content, and we will be integrating those into our certificate pathway and structure. And we don't have any plans for any additional certifications right now. We still just have the IGP, but we will be, really looking at how to best combine and or parcel out all of that content as it's appropriate. So I would say hold tight, and you will get the information as soon as any new products emerge. And Nick, do you have anything to add to that?
Just that I think we both recognize the amount of work that people put into achieving their info designation, as well as the work that went into creating it. So there'll be more on that in the future as we figure out how to bring that over to the ARMA side. I also saw some questions about the conference in there. We'll be looking at how to bring that over to ARMA as well. You haven't seen the last of the Information Governance Conference either.
Great, that was a question I was going to ask, so Nick, thanks for answering that. To repeat or recap, the ARMA and Nick will be thinking through how we can add in different elements of that conference and thinking through what the future will be for an event like that. So stay tuned is the answer for those questions, and we will be as transparent as we can along the way. We also had a question regarding the merger that, Jocelyn, I think you might want to address, and it has to do with how will the merger affect our chapter system. And along those same lines, there was a question about how the app will affect how chapters can engage with the app. So I'm just going to say about the app and chapters, there's going to be some more information for chapters on how they'll engage, and what we have now is what we consider a phase 1, and there will be more functionality coming down the pike for chapters and the app. But I'm going to take it back over to you, Jocelyn.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's really a good question, and one that, lucky enough for us, we have Liz's full team focused on the region and chapter support. And so all of these new initiatives, they're coming to the table with that question about how we can better support and engage our local members and volunteers with these resources. And for those of you who don't know, in the new website, there is a group functionality where our chapters and chapter leaders are coming together and communicating and doing some of their work in that system. And there will be a portal through the app to that same back end of our website, which is great. And we also have seen an increase in chapters using the ARMA International event calendar, which will be prominent on the app. And so just the ability to see all at once what's going on at the local level as well as what's going on at the international level, I think will be a really helpful opportunity so that you're not having to go to so many different places for some of those things. In terms of the merger, Nick was really great at getting out to the ARMA chapters and leveraging that community with his content, and I expect that to continue. But other than that, there will, other than being able to offer now new content, the support of those regions and chapters really shouldn't change from what it was before we brought it in.
And one thing that I'll jump in, this is Ryan, and let you guys know is that this is a decision that was not taken lightly. There was a lot of moving pieces. The board of directors and the HQ staff really worked hard to think about, is this the right fit? And it just made sense for us to think about, from a sustainability model for this organization, what do we need to do? And it just fit hand in hand with our new vision and our new mission.
Wonderful.
Excellent. So I have one more question about related to the merger that seems to be a common theme in the question and answer, and that really has to do with how the InfoBox and the IGBox combine and what the next steps are. You'll see there's some questions about that in the chat, as well as we're receiving some. So if Nick and Jocelyn, if you guys could answer what we know right now, what we can share right now. I say what we can share. We will share what we know, everyone. And that would be great.
Definitely. This is something that I think people have been asking since they heard that both bodies of knowledge were in the works, and was a really good trigger for us to start talking together and figuring out where these two pieces were going. I mentioned the intended audience, but a good way to think of it is, and I know Nick has had this analogy too, so jump in here, Nick, whenever you'd like. But if you think of a T, the InfoBox is the horizontal line, and it really is very broad. So when we say it captures that common language for all information disciplines, it's everything from the data, the information, to the knowledge, and that full life cycle. Anyone who touches information can use that as a common language for this comprehensive approach. So there's a lot of terminology and what do we mean by that. And then the IGBox has, at the foundation level, the conceptual level, some of those same themes, but really defines the stakeholder audiences, and is a little bit more of the deep dive. As you get into the full publication, that vertical line, this is where the people doing the work should be using this guide. So this is the body of knowledge in the sense that this is your tool. So it can be used as collateral for sharing and generating awareness, but you're also going to want it as a reference guide for those process flows, those workflows, the how-tos of creating an IG program, who should be involved, what are the right steps to take, all of that good stuff. Nick, do you have anything to add there?
That's exactly it. The two bodies of knowledge, they can work together, and they correspond with one another really terrifically as a T. I mean, there's a point where they overlap, and we'll be working to align those as best we can in the future. But they already correspond pretty well in terms of providing consistent guidance to the profession. So I'm excited at bringing the two into the same under the same roof.
Yeah, and I would also add that we have an opportunity here now that we can announce this, and now that we're all together and we can really dig in. There may be some rebranding of the various foundational or our fundamental concepts. So now we have the InfoBox. It's part of ARMA's foundational concepts, but because that could be confusing to have two bodies of knowledge, we will look at how best to brand those to make that really clear for users. I saw one other question just related to the app here, and it is live now, so if you search in your app store for ARMA International, you should find that, but we will also be sending out an email that will have a link to that, so you can go about that either way.
Great. So I have a few questions more that I'm going to focus on the merger, and then we have a different set of questions that we'll talk about for questions that have bubbled up in the chat and otherwise about the student category. I'm going to go ahead and just answer a few of those, which is, again, to reiterate, there are going to be no changes directly to our chapters regarding the merger. There are no changes to our chapters. But we will be able to add additional content to what we offer to our chapters, which is truly exciting. And if you're a chapter leader, hopefully you agree that over the last year we've been adding more and more resources, and we'll continue to see how we can do that with content. So we're pretty excited. We also have some questions about what will happen to some of the legacy information like Info Coalition's website and some of their other items. If you guys could talk about really what the next plans are for the evolution of some of the Info Coalition brand and the conference, I think that would be helpful.
Yes. Go ahead, Nick.
In terms of the information that's coming over from the resources that are coming from the Information Coalition over to ARMA, we're working on migrating all of the things that existed at infocoalition.com, bringing them over to arma.org, revising, aligning as we bring them over. Today, think of today as more of a starting point. We're announcing this to the community, but there's plenty more work to be done in the coming months as we migrate everything and bring it all over to a unified umbrella.
Yeah, and I saw a couple, I'm trying to follow some of the chat there. I think when I said that those brands would maintain their spirit and their intent, what I mean there, and I think I saw some questions about really what is the difference, like what is the difference between those two conferences? So if you haven't been to both, that's a really good question. And I think what the Information Coalition set out to do with InfoGovCon was that broader approach of bringing those information disciplines together. So ARMA Live has been a great deep dive of information management and has started to look at the governance structure of bringing the right IG segments together. And in the InfoGovCon, I believe, Nick, definitely jump in here if I'm getting this wrong, but they were doing some more deep dives of some of those other information disciplines alongside the governance piece and the deep dive of IM, and really maybe focused on some of our more advanced or experienced professionals. And the other spirit of a lot of the work that Nick and Jim and Rich had done was that open source model. I saw some questions about that. Will those continue to be open sourced or membership benefits? And right now we do have, as I mentioned, the foundation of the IGBOC is free to professional members. When the full publication is released, there will be a price point on that because it's a consolidation of so many aids and job tools and publications all in one. That will be $105 for non-members. It will be $75 for members. And like I said, if you purchase the first edition, you'll get the second edition free. The InfoBox was open sourced and available on a broader scale. And at this time, we don't have an intention to change that because of what it's set out to do, which is really just inform the broader audience of how we're talking about things. And we're hoping that that brings them into the conversation and into the community. So I expect that to be somewhat of the same structure. Do you have any other distinctions between those experiences that you want to point out?
complete agreement there. I think the other piece is because we were bringing in people from outside disciplines that were working in information but didn't necessarily understand themselves in that way. I think we can bring a lot of that into the ARMA family so that we can continue to expand our borders and get a lot of the incredible guidance that has been developed over the past 80 years of ARMA's history and bring that to disciplines beyond records, beyond information management, and expand what ARMA has done and in the past and bring those resources out to more professionals so that we can really help expand what ARMA has done in the past.
Great, thanks.
Finally, one small item to address. A few questions have been asked regarding the trademarks for IGBOC, InfoBOC, etc. Can someone speak to the appropriate trademarks that have been secured for those?
Nick, do you want to speak to yours first? Since
all of our trademarks will be coming under the ARMA umbrella. So everything that we have secured and developed will be coming over to ARMA.
Right, and so both brands are trademarked and will be under the ARMA umbrella. And then, like I said, we will determine if those are the brands that we wish to keep as we look at second editions of both and where they will be integrated and where they will remain separate.
Agreed. We also want to make sure that the two bodies of knowledge are distinct and easily understood by the average person coming to the site. So we'll see in the future how the branding all comes together.
Excellent, everyone. So I think we're going to, as long as Nick and Jocelyn, you don't have anything else you'd like to add about the merger or either of the body of knowledges. Perfect. So we're going to move on.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to some questions we had about the new student discount. So there seems to be a general excitement in the question and answer in the chat about our being able to focus on bringing students in. However, there are some questions about the current focus, which is that it will be available currently to just full-time students, and wondering if there will be student chapters and really what the evolution of this program will be. So Jocelyn, if you want to start talking about the intent there, as well as where we see this program, going in the future.
Yeah, and what we had in the past, for those of you who remember in our student membership type, was just a lower price point. And while we want to accomplish that, what we really want to accomplish is a different level of engagement. And so right now, the discount gets them in the door. For those people who already have connections to student populations and they want to get them access and get them engaged. But our vision is really to work with our local chapters and get into the universities and test out some program attributes that we believe will get them engaged in a way at the local level and globally to open up those career pathway opportunities, start closing in on that curriculum gap that we know exists for our incoming professionals. And so I think as those chapter programs are piloted, you should expect, if you are a chapter who has a strong local student community and you want to be part of those, fabulous, contact us and let us know. And so we will be rolling those out. At this time, we don't have plans for student chapters because we would really love to get them integrated into our existing chapters. And we're basically testing out our technology and with this program. So right now it's a discount code, and we're not asking for any validation, but we will be auditing those incoming members and requesting those documents for evidence of their status. I know that there are quite a few part-time programs, and for now that this is just for full-time students, but the way we've been doing things here at ARMA in the last couple of years, even though we are a 63-year-old organization, we treat things almost like a startup where we are trying out small tests and making sure there's value associated with those before we commit to a broader investment of time and resources. And so the student membership will follow that model. Do you have anything to add, Liz? Liz is, the executive director who's owning that program. So jump in, Liz, if you have anything.
Sure. I think that what we would ask generally is for patience, right? So we've worked pretty hard. We had a task force that was made up of students and some professors and some other interested individuals who looked through and made a recommendation to us. We are able to, through this discount, just start implementing some of those recommendations through the discount. We envision a complete membership category for students that is likely to include a version that offers something for full-time and part-time. But what we want to do now is to be able to support fully what we're offering, and then to test and then retest and then make it better. So it's going to be iterative. We ask for your patience as we figure out what our staff can handle as we support these new initiatives and how to increase and grow alongside those. So information has actually been, regarding the chapter, information has already been submitted to all of our chapters to decide if they would like to make chapter members or their chapter membership free to students. That's the decision of the chapter. We'll have more options hopefully as we move forward with different student types, but we do have some technology items that we have to work through and support. So what we don't want to do, and what is very important in particular for any new member, is to have them have a very bad experience into interacting with our organization. So we've got to get these kinks worked out so we can best support them. So as you guys work along with us, one, if you're a chapter leader and you want to offer free membership, get back with us soon, and we will do that. We actually are going to do the discount will go live on October 22nd, so we're announcing it here, and in a few weeks then it will be available to students as we make it go live, and everyone will get an email, and we'll do some other promotions, and chapters will be well aware of it. So we're really looking forward to how this is going to evolve and how this is going to evolve for other membership types. And actually, Jocelyn, this goes nicely into the other question. We've had at least 2 questions about retiree levels for membership types. Do you want to take it, or do you want me to address it?
I can comment on that. I was just getting ready to put that in the chat because I wasn't sure if we'd get to it. But yeah, that's a great question, and that is our next step. We believe that those people who are nearing the age of retirement or who are retired and who have been long-time ARMA members, we're sort of thinking about that as a retiree/loyalty idea, but we have not put in the specifics where we're ready to roll that out. What we would ask is, as we request volunteers for advisors within our membership base to help vet some of these ideas that are a little harder to put out into pilot programs, volunteer and give us your feedback. We will be looking for that kind of engagement, and just know that that's on the pipeline list to roll out a retiree offer as well.
Thanks, Jocelyn. I think that it's time we're almost time to end our call here, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to you.
Wonderful. I'm actually going to let Ryan wrap things up. I just want to say thank you for everyone with your attendance today. I know it's a big lift to take time out of your day for all the things you do with us. We really, really appreciate it. We're very excited. And please look out for follow-up details on all of these big announcements. I hope to see all of you in Anaheim.
Hello again, everyone. I'm so excited to see the receptive comments in the chat and the great questions. While we weren't able to answer all of them today, we are formulating responses, and I urge each of you to remember that these changes are for you and the long game of ARMA International. Further, I encourage each of you who are eager to see change and, frankly, as excited as this board and HQ are, to look into local chapter, regional, and even international roles to continue our vision. Don't forget to purchase your Power of I shirts, update your profile settings to help us disseminate appropriately relevant information to you in the new app and via email, and listen for more detailed information about ARMA during the State of the Association held during conference and available to non-attendees. Finally, while I hope to see each of you in Anaheim, where we have more attendees registered this year than last year, or via other avenues, please remember you are welcome to reach out to me directly, your board of directors, or HQ representatives with any additional questions. Thank you again for your time today and your continued support of this ARMA community.
Thank you all. Have a great day.